With a spark and a flash, I ignite! Ampamine here, coming at you with some more Payday 2 and the Crime Fest in review. I'm going to split this up into several different parts because I have written quite a lot in my notes about this. I've got a ton of stuff that I want to talk about, and I really don't want to make one, hour-long, 40-minute, 60-minute long video that everybody has to sit through in one single chunk. Nah, I'm probably going to split it up. But, firstly, I just wanted to go over actual Crime Fest, like just looking at what Crime Fest was, what Crime Fest did, and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to start by talking about the new heists that they added. Aftershock. Yeah. That's pretty much the entire sum of my feelings about that heist. It is by no means bad, because I have had fun playing that map. But it's also not, it's not one of their best. The level design is alright. The random elements are kind of annoying, because I don't know about anybody else, but a lot of the teams that I've been in, a lot of the pickup groups that I've run with, have had trouble finding one of the trucks. Just, they kind of blend in, or they're stuck in some really weird place, and the fact that, you've got 2 levels, and not everybody knows exactly how to get up and down the levels without killing themselves, is a little bit... It makes it a little more annoying than it really should be. It's not something... It's not a map that I'm like, oh, right, yeah, Aftershock, but it's also not a map where I'm like, oh, no, Aftershock. Yeah, it's mainly my main complaint is just trying to figure out, where the 2 trucks actually ended up. And once you've got that, honestly, it's generally fine. In general, though, there's another really big issue that I see with this, and it's not game-breaking, but it's something where this sort of map tends to really heavily favor having at least one person in some sort of, dodge, fugitive, dodge, critical, the low-blow sneaky bastard, akimbo combination player in it, because there are a lot of long distances that you have to run for at least one player, because once you've busted both trucks open with the saws, one player at least has to run all the way over to C4 one of the walls and steal one of the semi-trucks at the construction site. So if you've got a bunch of slow people, that takes forever. It's something where, honestly, if you don't have someone in a suit, then that whole entire thing, just, one person in CTV or ICTV can take you upwards of like a minute and a half, honestly. So I think that's a bit annoying and a bit ridiculous. Mobility builds are fine. It's just it's the difference in the speed with which someone is able to get the C4, blow the wall, and bring the truck back when they're in, when they have a dodge build versus if you've got, say, a bunch of enforcers on your team is pretty glaring, and that's something that I find mildly annoying, especially since the person who gets the C4 has to be the person who puts the C4 on the wall. They've got that little inventory thing going on, which, obviously that makes sense in-game, in-universe, it's teleporting C4 isn't really much of a thing, but it's also such that you can't have one person grabbing the C4 and just have another person who's ready to place the C4 on the wall, grab the semi, and drive back over. You can't actually plan ahead to reduce or to minimize or just completely obviate the need for someone who can run really, really fast. So yes, that I am not a fan of. But there is definitely one thing that kind of made me smile, and it's very, very small change, very subtle change, but I kind of got a kick out of it. They changed in the technician tree, Overkill changed the drill sergeant skill to drill sergeant, and made the speed increases and restart chances apply to both the drills and saws, and I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, alright, okay. I like it. So now that saws are in the game, they're affected by the exact same skills as drills, which is good because that would have been really annoying for technicians otherwise. So yes, overall, not bad. And I mean, they have an obvious tease at the end with Bane, you know, like, oh no, did I calculate the weight of the safes? I think it's pretty obvious that they're gonna include something after it, but I also think it's kind of silly for them to have released this and not have some sort of denouement. You know, it's just gonna be a cliffhanger. And truthfully, knowing, you know, the time frame that Overkill tends to work on, it's probably going to be a while, so it's like, why have that from the beginning and just, like, leave us hanging for that long? Why not just kind of maybe add it in as a secret? I think that's cool, and they seem to like doing that. So, I don't know why they didn't really do that this time, but, overall, not bad. Like, probably a C+ or a B-, kind of somewhere in there. Now, First World Bank. Before I start talking about First World Bank and Slaughterhouse, I really want to note that I have not played the first game. I have not played the original Payday the Heist. That's something that is one of those things I've been meaning to get around to, meaning to buy it when it's on sale, because it's like $1.50, but I still haven't, honestly, and so that's something that people have to keep in mind. That, you know, I have done research on this, actually. That all of the research that I've been doing has actually been one of the things that has made this new set of videos take so long. You know, normally I try to publish one video every day, but I wanted to make sure that everything in this was more or less accurate. You know, and I wanted everything to be as factual and accurate as I could possibly make it. So, yeah, that's, if I do end up making some mistakes because I haven't played the first game, I do apologize to, you know, the veterans of the first game. I've heard a lot that it's awesome, but still not something that I've gotten around to. Sorry. But I really do enjoy the way that it does stealth, because you've got a lot of different objectives to complete. You've got a bunch of different things to do. It's not just like, alright, cool, so now you set the drill, you know, the thermal drill on the vault, and you get to wait for 4 minutes. Doing nothing. Yay. No, it actually has you roving around the bank, and moving things around, and there are way too many guards to actually kill, you know, to just murder everything and keep the bank down. Generally, from what I understand and have seen, if you step into the lobby wearing a mask, you're probably going to get completely screwed over, either immediately or later down the line, you know, somewhere down the heist. So, yeah, I like that there are a lot of different objectives, a lot of different things that you need to do, a lot of different things that actually send you to different points in the map. And one thing that I will praise Overkill for so very much is that they've actually put a really good reason to stay in casing mode for this heist. It's I don't know why they haven't included this sort of thing in some of their actual Payday 2, original Payday 2 maps, because it's a really cool thing. You know, it's not either just like, alright, cool, I'm in casing mode, and I'm just going to mash F and find the guards for the people who are maxed up. Okie dokie. No, you can actually stay in casing mode to find the manager, and you generally want to stay in casing mode to find where the power boxes are, and I think that's really neat. That, you know, it actually pays to have at the 1 or 2 people in casing mode to track down the cable boxes, or you know, scout out guards for the people who are already masked up. It's really neat, and I like it. I like it a lot that they've done that. However, while playing, this has only happened once, but while playing with a team of people, we were stealthing it. And we found this really odd, I'm pretty sure it's a bug, I don't think it's a feature, this very odd thing where we had managed to open this, open the vault in stealth, and then we got caught, and, the alarm sounded, we're like, oh crap, alright, I guess we'll just keep going, but the map made us go upstairs, get the thermite, and burn through to the vault, even though we'd already opened it. And since it's an objective-based game, you can't proceed past that objective. You have to meet that objective before you can proceed past that. So it's like, okay, I guess we're burning through to the vault that's already open. But, oh well. Now, as for generally things going loud, I'm pretty satisfied with it. It's relatively straightforward, but a lot of things that go loud are. However, you do still need to keep mobile. You do still need to take a lot of things into account. They've got a bunch of avenues that enemies will try to come at you from, and that's really nice. Having a lot of enemy spawn points keeps you on your toes. It keeps you, keeps you very engaged in the map, and it actually, makes you want to kind of have stakeout locations and things like that. You want to make sure that you try to conserve your supplies since, you can't move them, but when you're on a bit of a mobile map, it's important to make sure that everybody still has the supplies when they need them. So yeah, good design. And I'm honestly not sure how much of that design has carried over from the first, but I like the First World Bank map, both stealth and loud. Gets like an A, or maybe an A-. A, once they remove the bugs, a B+ until they actually, don't, until then. So, yeah, pretty good. Slaughterhouse. This is an interesting conversion. I like the fact that they added in the conveyor belts. While I was doing my research on the first Slaughterhouse, I didn't see any indication that you could actually use the conveyor belts to carry bags. As far as I can tell, carrying bags wasn't. It was completely different in the first one as compared to the second one, because Payday 2 has, different weights and skills that have you carry things faster and throw them farther and that sort of thing. So I think it's a really nice touch that they, you can throw the bags on the conveyor belts and have them roll down the line instead of having to just, carry them or leapfrog them. And that's really cool, because it lets you, it lets you concentrate more on defending the bags than actually moving the bags, which is really, really, really nice. Sometimes finding the gas cans can be a total pain in the butt, and it's not impossible by any means, but it's one of those things where, it's like, alright, I've been around the map 3 times and I haven't seen anything, and this is starting to get irritating because I'm getting shot at the entire time, and now I have to find that one little corner that I haven't noticed. And that may be just me. It's possible that I may be blind when it comes to gas cans, and I will admit that my vision is not particularly perfect, but it's still something where it's like, okay, you gotta kinda give me something, maybe. So, that was something Also, at the very end, when you're running through the blue storage containers, sometimes smoke grenade spam from the enemy combatants is really irritating, because it's all just a field of gray. Because, when multiples spawn, and you're walking through, maybe 3 or 4 smoke grenades, it's really, really, really easy to get turned around. And again, that might be me, and it might also be just an isolated incident where that many smoke grenades happened to spawn when I was playing. But yeah, please, if that is a thing, cut down on that, please, because it's incredibly irritating. So now that I've got the things that really irritate me out of the way, I do want to talk about some of the things that I really like about it. The entire level has excellent design, because inside you've got relatively tight, cramped corridors with a central hub that's a very large room. So you can try to create choke points in the hallways where people are coming in, or you can just kind of make big circles around the large room and you just mop up the people as they're coming in. Just to look up, snipe them from the catwalks, and then look down and just clear everything from there. And that's really cool, because that allows a lot of different interplay for different weapon types and different builds. I like that a lot. And a lot of it is the same when you move outside, because when you're dealing with ground forces, you've got the very, very tight, the tight spacing between the storage crates, but you've also got a lot of long-range stuff, because some law enforcement agents will stay standing on top of some of the storage crates, and you've got snipers in the back that you need to take care of, otherwise they shoot the crap out of your teammates. It's all really, really good design, and it really encourages balance in terms of what you're bringing to the fight. For example, if you're an enforcer who just brings double shotguns, then you're gonna be in for a lot of unhappiness. You either need to have a balanced team where one of your team members can cover you from stuff like sniper fire, or you're gonna need to bring a backup where you can take care of that sort of thing yourself. And I really like that. I really like it where, you need to keep concentrating on more than one thing at the same time, and where you need to bring in a balanced set of weapons. And that's all good stuff in my book. So, yeah, honestly, I would probably I haven't experienced any bugs on Slaughterhouse, come to think of it. So yeah, I would probably give it a solid A. And again, I'm not sure how much of the good design is just a carryover from the first one. It's just that the first map was really well designed, so that just naturally comes out in the second one, or if they actually did a lot of stuff to improve that. Honestly, I can't really say, because again, I have not played the original Payday the Heist, so I can't say, I can't say how much of it is actually the first map and how much of it is the second map. But, you know what, I like it, and by the sound of it, a lot of other people like it, so something to enjoy for all. Hooray! And now I get to talk about the new stuff that they added, and this is where I'm probably just gonna kind of be like, alrighty guys, and not everything that they added is bad, but I have one major complaint that you're gonna hear me say in terms of you're gonna hear me repeat it for a bunch of these new features. And that's where these new features that they added are not bad. A lot of them are good features. They're good quality of life improvements. But the biggest problem that I have with them is that there are a lot of existing bugs and problems with the games that I would rather they have fixed than added in this new stuff. And for example, the AI hostage trading that they added in, that is the biggest case of that, where it's not a bad feature. It's a good thing to have. However, when you're facing some of the weird desync bugs that you can get, and the fact that, sometimes it's inexplicably you can desync so hard that you get spotted through walls, and, things disappear, and you've got the whole item duplication thing, where if everybody times it right, you can split one item into 4, and that's a big problem on maps that are kind of designed around that sort of thing. Like, you can duplicate Thermite on Shadow Raid, and you can duplicate keycards on the second day of Hoxton Breakout. It's kind of a big problem. That's something that I think they should fix, and AI hostage trading is not a bad addition, but it's not going to add a whole lot to what the average player actually sees. And this is something that I have no evidence with which to back it, but, honestly, I would actually love to see some statistics, but honestly, I think that very few people play solo. For a lot of different reasons. The AI is not particularly stellar. You've got these stupid requirements of moving every single bag yourself, and you also need to keep hostages down yourself, so that's just a lot of tedium and annoyance that is added to solo play. So the fact that these things are being added is nice, but probably not going to be seen by a lot of people. It's going to give a minimal impact, because even in online games where you have bots, the chances that you're going to be in the situation where a bot can save that game and you don't have another player are also going to be slim. I'm not saying that nobody is going to encounter that situation, but I think it affects a sufficiently small portion of the game's population where their time would have been much, much, much better spent fixing bugs. And there are also other problems where, for example, if you've got a player, then instead of a bot, I should say, then the player can possibly have Dominator and dominate a police officer in the middle of an assault wave instead of, trading a hostage, a civilian hostage. And that's a problem because the bots can't do that. They can't. They can only trade hostages that have already been created. And in addition to that, the AI isn't nearly capable of dealing with things like Captain Winters, because that actually requires strategy or the use of specific weapons like an RPG, the flamethrower, Molotov cocktails, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that it is not a bad thing to have, but I think it should have been way lower on their priority list. And there are a lot of features that I can say that exact same sort of thing for, like stealth and loud labeling. It's really, really nice to see, actually. It's something where, it doesn't completely solve the problem, but there are fewer instances of me going into a lobby and being like, hey guys, are we going stealth or are we going loud? It'd be great to know beforehand so I can change out my skill set, and yeah. Instead, they can just stick that little icon on there, and I know what I'm getting into immediately when I click on Join Game. And that's awesome. But, there are also a bunch of weird things with it, because a lot of people just completely ignore it, and a lot of people assign, things that are completely opposite to what the heist actually is. For example, people will label the Hoxton Breakout heist as stealth. And it's like, alright guys, you can't do that. And then people will put up Shadow Raid loud. It's like, okay, you can kind of do that if you ECM rush it, but even then, okay, come on guys. And it's the addition of this also compounds something that I think is kind of a problem, where when you're in the CrimeNet map and you see something that you see a heist that you want to play, but it's in-game, you have to leave the CrimeNet map, go to your inventory, switch over to the appropriate skill set, go back to CrimeNet, and hope you see the same one. You can't do it from the menu in which you join, and I would love for there to be an addition to the joining menu where if you are actually joining the game for the first time, you can't say change from day to day. If you're joining for the first time in the middle of a game, you can change your skill set. I would love to see that. Yes. Okay. But again, something that bug fixes. Please bug fix. Please. The preferred character change. Yes, actually kind of nice. And not essential. Again, it's a quality of life change. But please, overkill. Instead of adding this sort of thing that is just a very, very minor quality of life change, instead I beg you to try to fix the problems with your netcode and other bugs that are really harming the game and making it less fun to play. Please. And moving on from those sorts of things, it's just, want to move on to the stuff that I think is actually significantly impacts the game and was at least kind of worth it. The Lake Castlevania collab was actually pretty cool. I had no idea who he was before I read about him for Crime Fest. Absolutely no cool. Absolutely no clue. But the tracks that he's added actually satisfy me a lot. I really enjoy them. And this time, I know for a fact that they're new. I'm not downloading new DLC and then claiming that the music that the DLC adds is new. No, I know for a fact that this is new. They added it in Crime Fest, so yes, these are good new tracks that they added. Infinite Ammo in particular, I think, is really, really good. However, I will also admit that I am a total sucker for electronica music, and so, you know, your tastes may vary. This may not be something that you're really all that appreciative of. You're like, alright, it's cool, something from a musical genre that I don't even care about. But, at least for me, this gets a definite thumbs up. You know, it's a solid collaboration, and it's definitely good work, and honestly, the link between the two is not quite as egregious and in-your-face as the Alesso heist. It's not, you know, just like, hey, did we also mention that we did a thing with this DJ because you should remember that we did it? Because we did it, and we want you to remember it. Yay! It's in the music. You can turn it off. You can take it out of your heist playlist, that sort of thing. So that was good. That was something good that they did. Something very intelligent choice, and I like it. Good. Now, this wasn't quite exactly part of Crime Fest, but I do also want to discuss the recent UI changes. Now, it wasn't drastic, and I like what they've done with the overall weapon modification menu and the way that you can change your skills and such, and how it's just a one-stop shop. You can do all of that stuff. You can change your skills and perk decks and all of that sort of thing just in one place. It's really cool. And I also like a couple of things that they've done to the weapon mod menu. You can actually, see the gun, how it's going to look when it's modded, and it's also, at least for me, a bit easier to see how it's going to actually turn out. It's nicer for me to click on, preview weapon with mod, and just click between those two and see how it's actually going to change while it's still on the screen, instead of going to a completely new screen like it used to. I like that a lot, because it gives me a direct juxtaposition between the two, so that is awesome. Yeah, and it's also, it's not perfect though, because the scrolling through the mod types, so the barrel exterior and the actual barrel and the grip and all of that, scrolling through that with the mouse wheel and trying to scroll through the actual mods it's kind of weird, because, at least for me, sometimes it'll scroll through the mods when my mouse is just sort of perfectly right, and other times it'll scroll through the mod types, and that's kind of weird, and that's something I hope they at least sort of look at, if not fix. I don't know if there's an actual fix for that, but that's something that's kind of weird. And something that I would absolutely love to see that would take, this is one of those quality of life fixes that would take about 10 minutes for them to do, and I would love them to death for it. I would love to see the gun's overall stats on the actual mod menu, because you can see what the modifications you're looking at have added and subtracted, but you don't see the entirety of your gun's stats. So you're like, okay, so this gives me plus 12 accuracy and plus 4 stability, but you don't know what your actual accuracy and stability values are, so you don't know if you're at 92 accuracy, you would be wasting a lot of that additional accuracy, and it would be better put, say, on your stability. You have to click out of the menu and look at the gun in the inventory screen, and then go back into the modification screen to look at that. And that's something that I find kind of annoying, because I like numbers a lot, and I like changing and looking at numbers, so Overkill, if you're listening, by some insane, crazy coincidence, please, I beg of you, change that. And one thing that that they have added that I won't quite rave about, but I really, really, really like are bipods. The fact that they added bipods is awesome. I freaking love bipods. The addition of bipods has actually made a light machine gun part of my generalized sort of kit. It is now one of those weapons that I will actually equip in a fair number of situations, because it's something that actually makes light machine guns much, much more usable. And this is also helped by the fact that they removed the speed penalty from having LMGs out. That is also a wonderful change. That's been something that has been preventing people from using light machine guns, I think, for a really long time, since they came out in the gauge weapon packs, because any sort of speed penalty in Payday 2 is significant. It's important. Generally, you want as much speed as you possibly can in any situation. Sometimes it can make the difference between living and dying. So, removing that is also something that I think helped a lot. But the bipods, I think, really change how LMGs work as a whole. And it's really, really good, because it gives you tactical decisions. You've got a limited field of fire with which you can cover a decent area easily, but you also just can't camp these huge zones. So it requires either tactical movement, or it requires you to actually set up specific choke points and try and funnel people through. And it's really, really nice that way. I also like the fact that, you can you can expand and collapse it very, very easily. So it's not a very time-consuming choice. It's not something where it's like, oh man, I wish I could throw down my bipod, but I don't have the time for it. No, it's quick and easy enough that chances are pretty good that you're gonna have enough time to flip out the bipod. However, the things are super buggy. Because I want to love them. I want to love them unconditionally, and I would if it were not for the crazy, crazy bugs. Some of them have not directly happened to me. For example, there's one I've seen where it just kind of throws people through the map that I don't even understand how that happens. That's some crazy programmatic thing, I'm sure. But, it also makes people disappear, which has happened to me. People are like, alright, cool, where are you? And there's also a problem that has happened to me where it sort of freezes your character in place in appearance only. So other players playing with you see you as though you're just standing in one place, even though you're moving around the map, shooting cops and moving bags. And you can still interact with your environment. The police that you shoot stay dead, they actually die. The bags that you move are actually moved, but, people still see you as standing somewhere way across the map. And, when it happened to me, they're like, dude, come on, just come over here, we're about to leave. And it's like, I'm right here. I've been standing on the leave platform for about 10 seconds now. So, yeah, that's something that I really want them to iron out. I really do. But apart from that, I really like it. It's good. That was awesome thing to add, Overkill. And in addition to that, I think that giving everybody access to a light machine gun was a really good move. A lot of people complaining like, oh, it's just a clone of the KSP, blah. But I think they kind of forget that sometimes not everybody owns that particular DLC, so giving them access to a light machine gun without necessarily having to own the Gauge weapon pack is a really cool move. That's very, very nice. I liked that a lot. It was neat. Real cool. Very, very cool. There are a few other things that I wanted to talk about, but like the SWAT turret rebalance, I haven't really seen much of a difference with the SWAT turrets, so there's not a whole lot to talk about there. The jumping animations, again, there's not much to talk about. It's new. I think the fact that they released it on the last day after kind of hyping it up, I thought that was actually really funny. I genuinely laughed when I saw that, because I was like, alright, cool, alright, this is well played, Overkill, but apparently it pissed a lot of people off, and I kind of don't understand that, but this is okay. People are gonna get pissed off about just about everything, so yeah. And this is actually a good point for me to end this, because in the next video I want to talk about the weapon rebalance, and there is a ton of stuff to talk about there. This video is already running fairly long, and I honestly, when I talk about the weapon rebalance and what I plan for it being in the third video, which is just kind of the aftermath of this year's Crime Fest and what Overkill has kind of been doing in the past and how it relates to now, it could probably easily go up to about 1.5 to 2 hours, and that's a really long video that I don't want to make people sit through. So I think that's going to wrap this one up for today. Thank you all very much for watching, and I suppose listening. This has been more of a podcast than anything else, but I never cared. That never stopped me, and it's probably never going to stop me in the future. But thank you all so much for watching. As always, I appreciate it, and this has been me, Ampamine, coming at you with some more Payday 2 and Crime Fest retrospective. And I will catch all of you on the flip side.